ஆமா. ஒரு ஆள் 20 நிமிஷம் ஆகும் சரிங்களா? எதுக்கு நிக்கிறீங்க? அப்படியே கூட உட்கார்ந்து வரிசை அனுப்பிச்சு விடுறேன். டோக்கன் வச்சுக்கோங்க.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Adit, please continue.
Sorry. We have with us today Dr. Anish Kayar as our resource person to enlighten us on this subject. He has 18 years of experience in social work practice, research, and teaching. As former chairman of Board of Studies of Social Work at Kannur University and MG University. He is also an exchange faculty to University of Utah, USA. He did his MPhil at NIMHANS and PhD from MG University. Sir, it is really fabulous to see your professional credentials. We are fortunate to have you over here. With immense joy, we welcome you, sir, to this webinar. May I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. K.C. Muralidharan, to this webinar, who is the forefront of academic development of our college. He is an excellent academician and thinker who always supports us. Hearty welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also welcome our beloved head of the department, Father Johnson Simeti, to this session. We are happy that Father is always guide and motivate us in undertaking innovative academic programs. Welcome, dear Father.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure to welcome all the participants over here. Your interest and enthusiasm is that really encourage us and make this event a great success. So on behalf of Social Work Department and St. Joseph College, I extend a hearty welcome to all of you. A word of welcome to all teachers of Department of A word of welcome to all teachers of department and friends. It is because of your continued support and guidance and motivation we could organize this webinar. Welcome my teachers and friends. Once again, welcome to you all and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, Adit, for your words of welcome. I humbly request Dr. K.C. Muralidharan, the principal of our college, for the introductory speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anish, Father Anish. A respected resource person of the day, Dr. Anish Kayar, our vice principal, Father Johnson Simeti, members on the faculty of social work in St. Joseph's College, participants from other colleges, my dear students. So it's a moment of pleasure for the college as well as the Department of Social Work to host a talk on transactional analysis and its applications in counseling. We are living in the time of an unprecedented kind of pandemic when this topic is very, very relevant. The pandemic-induced mental illnesses are on the rise, and a number of casualties has been reported. In Kerala also, people in quarantine committing suicide, trying to escape from quarantine centers, the students not being able to cope up with the online classes. I have come across cases, a few cases of students who has who have been suffering from some kind of mental disturbance because of the things going on in the uh, in the case of the disease as well as its impact on people. So I should congratulate the Department of Social Work for thinking of a seminar like this and hosting it for the benefit of the whole society, giving them a chance to think on what is happening to us, how this can be addressed, these challenges can be addressed. We know we have been passing through regular floods every year, and one thing that the government or the society did not address properly is the mental imbalances caused by the regular flood. First time it was okay. We did something to counter the flood. And now we understand that every monsoon, people expect a flood and are suffering from anxieties over it. And people living in flooded places. I would like to tell you a few things focusing on, two words, I would say, uh, vulnerability. Vulnerability and madness. Vulnerability, the word, if you go back to the etymological premises of the word, root of the word, you find that it's a Latin term which means wound. So, a wounded person lacks some ability, is deprived of some ability, some kind of capacity. It is from such a context that this word comes into being. We can, in Malayalam, we can roughly translate, not sufficiently, but roughly translate into some kind of, lack, ഒരു ദൗർബല്യം, ദുർബലത, ശക്തിക്കുറവ്, കഴിവ് കുറവ് എന്നൊക്കെ രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു വാക്കാണ് vulnerability. So vulnerability is one word that is fundamental to the understanding of human beings. If you look around and see the infants of any animal, we can understand that the human infant is the most vulnerable. All other young ones of animals stand up and start doing things after a few hours. It may be a few days sometimes in the case of some other animals, but it's a very, very long process. Infancy, childhood, adolescence, all these are stages when human beings depend on others. The first few months or years on their parents, and the rest of the time also on parents, neighbors, teachers, others in the community. So it's a kind of community dependence that the human being always has to undergo throughout their life. So in the case of a human being, if the relationships are not properly going, it will end up in some kind of an impact on mind and later on body also. And this is where we speak about psychosomatic diseases, diseases of the mind getting manifest in the body. Another concept I would like to bring in, as I told you earlier, is madness. Madness has a long history. I focus on madness because all kinds of mental disturbances ultimately end up in some kind of derailing of the mind. Madness has a very long history, traced by, one of the crucial thinkers, Michel Foucault. He has a book on madness. He has several books on madness. One book is Madness and Civilization. And in that book, he speaks about, he traces the origin of, the medical treatment in relation to madness. He finds that in Renaissance, in early Renaissance, mad people were not considered as dangerous people. They were considered as creative people. They were looked at as people who know the limits of the society. And from then on, some change occurs. People were removed from the society into isolation, at first in their own houses, chained, and then social institutions came up to confine them. Foucault calls it the great confinement. Confining people. Confinement includes separation, isolation, some kind of permanent quarantine of people in terms of madness. And he finds, interestingly, that the people who were isolated like this were not simply mad people. Prostitutes were, actually, I wouldn't call people prostitutes. I would say prostituted women were confined along with them. People who questioned the authority were confined. People who were not believers were confined. So it was not simply, the confinement was not simply for the, the people who were thought to be mad. So what happens in the case of a person who is isolated? Isolation can further mental disturbances because of the inevitable link biologically and also by way of human development. The human being is within a society always, and isolation aggravates the situation. So this has been a great issue. As we know that this is what Foucault would say: you prove yourself to be sane and rational by confining people you think who are not rational. This is the situation. So Freud has shown us that we are walking with one foot in sanity and the another foot in insanity. A person who is sane any moment can become insane the other moment. I am using that term insanity, insane, for the purpose of discourse only. Actually, it is very, very difficult, as Freud tells us, to define sanity and insanity. So it is highly problematic, dividing people into sane and insane. So I may be sane one moment and I may be insane the other moment. So naturally, we have to think of a better system, better kind of definition, an inclusive kind of situation. And this is why Freud himself found it very, very difficult to handle certain cases of hysteria at the beginning of his practices. And he accidentally adopts one of the methods used by one of his mentors, Joseph Breuer, who out of helplessness just sat and listened to a patient with mental disturbances. And he repeatedly listened to that patient, and he found that the patient was slightly bettering by just being allowed to speak and he listening to it. So naturally, that method was then known as talking cure. So let the patient talk, and the patient may get cured by the very process of bringing out the repressed content. So naturally, uh, Freud follows this method, and later this develops into what we presently call counseling. And another stage in counseling is, the transactional analysis, which is very important in counseling. And what is transaction? Transaction is something of a deal or an exchange that we usually do with the society. Whenever two people meet, we transact things. We drive through certain ideas and we receive certain ideas, and transaction involves something to give and something to take. And in a society where power decides everything, these transactions are not conducted on equal terms. And that means your vulnerability as a human being increases through transaction and can also be lowered through transaction. That means most of the transactions that you are involved in the world may sometimes cause you mental issues. The physical circumstances may make you vulnerable. Poverty may make you vulnerable. Death may make you vulnerable. Examinations may make you vulnerable and sad, depressed, dejected, and develop a suicidal tendency in you. So what I mean in short is that the society creates this kind of vulnerability, aggravates this kind of vulnerability, and keeps you isolated in the name of this vulnerability and illness. So this is where, madness is problematic. This is where mental disturbances are problematic. If a student comes into an institution and gets disturbed in the mind, we have to understand that it is the problem of the institution, not the problem of the student. So but often we look at these things in a different manner. We, we stand with the institution and see the source of the fault in the person who is the victim. So victimizing the victim, again, is the way followed by most of the society. So good counseling, I would say, there can be good counseling and bad counseling, and good counselors and bad counselors, and you are aware of all these things. I would say counseling is one of the ways to rectify the the stringent measures imposed on people who suffer from mental issues, disturbances, doubts, and also behavioral problems because of their lack of capability or lack of uh, support from the society in facing the challenges that they have in their life. So in this sense, we have to look at transactional analysis, counseling, use of that in counseling as a corrective measure, as an affirmative measure, as a positive measure to render right the kind of victimization the society, you know, uh, society has managed to uh, go with in the development of human societies. So I would end with a story. A person goes to visit, a rich person goes to visit a psychiatrist. The person has a feeling that, some kind of strange creatures come in large numbers and creep on his body. This was his feeling. So every day, every week he would go. When it is unbearable, he would go to the psychiatrist. He would say these creatures are running on my nose, it's on my head now. They are plenty in numbers. I cannot live on like this. And some kind of counseling will take place. This was repeated. And the psychiatrist often thought to himself, what am I doing? And then he ponders a little over the patient, and then always consoles himself with the fact that he gets a heavy check after the consultation. And he was very regular in paying it, and the psychiatrist was very happy. So one day, after a few meetings like that, one day the situation was very severe, and the person was highly restless and ran to him and was trying to keep away, pull away the creatures, the imaginary creatures. And at one point, he was, pulling these creatures and throwing it in all directions. And the psychiatrist, at one point said, don't throw it on me. Don't throw the creatures on me. You know, uh, it will be a problem to me also. Please kindly go and say, live as I told you. So at one point, what happens is the psychiatrist also contracts the same kind of feeling that something is creeping on you. And it is very ordinary to say that in our life, in our everyday life, we also have some kind of feelings like that, something, creeping on our body. It's what you say, a creeping feeling. So it's a very important topic that we are going to discuss today. I think how to become good counselors, how to use transactional analysis, how your engagement with another person through words can heal a person or can help a person heal themselves or himself or herself, is the point, is the major point. Whenever we transactional analysis or counseling is not simply a specialized field. Whenever we come across another person, another human being, talk to that human being, we are actually involving in some kind of transaction, which may either affect the person negatively or positively. And this is what we have to remember. All human encounters, all your encounters with any other being in the world, human or non-being, is going to affect that being in a certain manner, depending upon the way you use your power. So this is what we have to remember, I think. And I know very well that our resource person is very capable of taking you to the uh, nuances of transactional analysis and its applications in uh, counseling, which is a very relevant topic, a topic demanded by the pandemic situation. And examinations used to give anxiety to students earlier, but now they are anxious about not having examinations. So this is very odd and strange and paradoxical. So everything around us now give us anxiety because of the pandemic and because of the genetic changes in the pandemic. And I think more and more counselors will be needed. More and more good counseling will be required for almost all of us, I think. And this will be, uh, you know, uh, treated in a scholarly manner by our resource person, Dr. Anish Kayar. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the valuable words. And I think you have given a good start to the day. Friends, there is an announcement from the speaker of the day, and I request the host to publish that message. He has put a link uh, that we all have to fill the form, and I request the host to make it visible to the participants. Kindly do the same. Friends, here we have Dr. Anish Kher as our resource person. And let me brief to you what he is. Some of his academic achievements. He completed his MSW with second rank in 1999 from Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kalari. And he did his MPhil in 2002 from Nimhans, Bangalore, with third position in the university. PhD in 2010 from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam. Briefly about his career. Dr. Anish has 18 years of experience in social work practice, research, and teaching. He works with Rajagiri College of Social Sciences and assistant professor and head of the Department of Social Work. Previously, he was working as senior lecturer and head of the School of Social Work at Marian College, Kuttikaram. He has been an exchange faculty to University of Utah, USA. He offers his constant accounts, consultancy and training services in the areas of research, methodology, and SPSS, counseling, CSR,
Brother, that would be
monitoring and
sufficient.
evaluation. Yes, sir. Okay, I think you all can go to the Google and just type Dr. Anish Kher and you will get all the details. I'm sure about it. And thank you, sir. Thank you for the intervenence. And I'm not extending that. Dear students, dear friends, Dr. Anish, your readiness to accept our invitation made this day worth remembering. And we are eagerly waiting for your words. And over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Father, for that unnecessary introduction, but I enjoyed it because we all like stocks. I'm really happy to be here with you all on this day, talking about transaction analysis. Let me thank the organizers for inviting me to be part of this great initiative. Dr. Muralidharan has very clearly set the scene for the whole webinar. And I would say this is not just a webinar, this is actually a input session. So I want your active participation. Do you all agree to that? Can you put that in the chat box? I think your chat box is disabled. No problem. So, so I would appreciate your wholehearted participation in the whole session so that we'll go an interactive process. I will take around 1 hour, 5 minutes or so that we have some time for question answer. I hope that you're all there. So can I request the host to open the chat box so that I can have some interaction for the participants. So
Definitely, sir. Definitely will do it.
Yeah. So I know that they will deal with the chat box very decently and okay. And you have very clearly given instructions. So certificates will be given to all at the end of the session, and the feedback link will be shared at the end of the session. And please don't ask for that in between the session. Okay. Well, so we are starting the session. So I have asked you to let me share my screen and start. So before beginning, while Dr. Muralidharan was speaking, I have shared a small link for questions to share with you to understand the relevance of this training for all of you, transaction analysis. So with that introductory, I just, there are 5 things covered in this session. The first thing is we will be discussing about ego states. That is the major concept in transaction analysis. We discussed about strokes, we discussed about life positions, we discussed about life script, and also how to use transaction analysis in counseling practice. This is the framework of the session. Are you all with me? Are you ready to participate? Can you put that in the chat box so that I know how many of you are there with me? Can you just put the chat box? How many of you will be ready to interact in this whole process of learning? Say yes in the chat box, please. I'm seeing many people coming in. Cecily Madam told, Redmi, Christina, Annie, Shubida, yes, Anish, Amina, Fancy, Brinda. Okay, lot of you, Amla, Jismi, some of them I think are my students too. Yes, so good. So you are ready to start. We are ready to start. Let's start. Now, looking at the framework, I just did this small assessment. So this is a score you got. I got 115 responses by the time Dr. Muralidharan finished the session. 115 responses, only 4 questions, which try to ask you whether you would like to be better in your communication, whether you would like to be better in your relationships, whether you want to be more effective in your life. The questions were very simple. So the scaling was like this. A smaller score talks about your higher interest in doing that. And higher score indicates that you don't want much to do. So I get somewhere around 50%. The score is 50%. That means I have set a cut point of 50 as the limit for looking at someone who do not want to have inputs. But I understand that most of you want this input because you all want to improve your relationships. You all want to improve your communication. You all want to improve your effectiveness. So I think this is a session for all of you. Let us sit back and participate so that we will be able to learn something from this exercise. So this is not going to be a monologuous lecture from my side. I'll be engaging you some questions, some activities. So please be ready for doing that. Not just a webinar where you come and join and wait for the certificate link to be given. No, I don't want anyone to be like that. Please enjoy. We have 248 people in my audience. So that is good. Now people are going out since I told activity. Now I will be just giving another link to your chat box. Please fill up that link in the chat box. So please wait for me to put the link in the chat box. Sorry, I'm not getting the chat box. Let me get the chat box, please. 1 second. Okay, there's a link in the chat box. Please click on the link. And there are four questions. How you look at your own life. Again, 4 questions. Please click on the questions, please. I am satisfied with my life, self, relationships, about my communications. So I got one response. I got 2 now. I am getting 3. So there are 240 people here. I would stop when we get cross the limit of 100. Hopefully, closer to 50% participation. 19, 21 now, 24, 25. I'm going up and up. 29, 31. Good. 35, 30, 41, 45, 47 responses till now. 50, yes, good, going. 57, 60, 65, 71, 73, 76, 78, 79, 82, good, we are good going. 83, 85, 87, 91, good. 94, 96, within few seconds we got cross 100 and 103 now. See, look at here, this picture, you can see the picture. Further, Arish, you can see the picture on your screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
Yeah,
can see.
I am satisfied with myself. So the score is somewhere, all the scores are somewhere between 3 and 4. 5 is the largest score. The highest score is 5. So all of you want to, our satisfaction with yourself is around 3.6. With your relationship is around 3.7. With your communications about 3.6, and decision making 3.5. Workplace success, your success in your workplace, maybe in the college or wherever you are, 3.3, and leadership 3.3. So all of you are somewhere around 60 and 70%. That is a range of your performance. We understand that you all want to improve. Out of 137 responses, I understand that majority of you want to improve your skills. So it is important, it is good for you to start learning about transaction analysis. So good to go. So now you know that we encounter relationship issues, we encounter conflicts, we encounter indecisiveness where we are not able to take good decisions. We encounter difficulty in reaching our goals. We encounter difficulty in advancing in our careers. And we also find that at times friends from our group is going out. There is attrition in our relationships. Again, these all could be because of transactions. So transaction analysis is a therapeutic approach, but not just a therapy, which is actually used as varied group of people in, in enhancing communication, relationships, and personal development. Maybe in education, maybe in management. It is also used in therapy. I should say like that, because it's not just a therapeutic approach, but it's more of a developmental approach used by wide spectrum of people in management, education, and therapy altogether. So let us learn what it is. So what is transaction analysis? The person called Eric Berne, a professional psychiatrist by profession, he developed this therapeutic approach in the late 50s based on the several theoretical approaches available at that point of time. Based on his research, his model was introduced in the late 50s. So it is a psychoanalytical theory of psychology developed by Eric Berne, which focuses on improving communication with others. It also focuses on how to analyze our own interaction with others. How are we going to interact with others? How are we going to analyze? How am I doing good in my relationship with people? Am I doing good in my interactions? Let us look at that. So this theory is for you. So let's see what are we going to learn today. Some of you may be familiar with this theory. I'm just trying to look at us from that point of view. So there are several theoretical underpinnings for this therapeutic approach, which includes the humanistic psychological perspectives where we believe in the ability of human beings, where we believe in the capacity of human beings to solve their own problems and issues. And we look at people as a focus of intervention. We human centric. It is more of person centric approaches comes to humanistic approach. So it has, this theory has taken input from humanistic approaches. It has taken input from integrative approaches, basically approaches which is mixture of several approach theoretical models. And it also has a great lineage to the psychodynamic approach, the Freudian thinking Dr. Muralidharan has already talked about. So transaction analysis is a culmination of several theoretical approaches into one formulation of theory. Where we look at what it is now. Now let us look at what are the basic concepts of transaction analysis. The first thing, what are the basic concepts? What do you think? What do you think? Shall I have some response from you in the chat box? What are the major theoretical concepts you have heard about in transaction analysis? Can you just put something in the chat box, please? I'm waiting for your responses from you all. Can I have some response to the chat box? So I will be asking you. So please don't worry. I'm a teacher, so I am forced to do this. Some response from your side. I don't want to be the single person talking. Any responses here? The chat box? I don't find anything here. Is the chat box disabled?
Somebody has written relationship with the people.
Okay, I am not able to see here from here. Okay, somehow I'm not able to pick the chat box from here. Yeah, it's coming. Interpersonal relation with others, structuring, life script, life position, ego states have changed in the alter ego, strokes, communication, interpersonal relationship. Dr. Francina told ego states, strokes, Akhil, Akhil Papa, yes, he's my student. Annie, ego states. So PAC interaction, Deepthi told PAC interaction. Binsi, interpersonal relationship. Yes. So you got a lot of ideas about this. Yes, I'm going to speak the same thing again to you. So for some of you, it may be revision. For some of you, it may be something new for you. So those who are new to this, just listen to this. This is a very interesting therapeutic approach. Those who are already aware of it, please refresh yourself and we will have a discussion at the end. So now what are the major approaches? Now this theory says we are not just one person. Each one of us is really three people. We are three in one. We are three in one. Okay, this theory says we are not just one person, we are three in one person. Let us see what are they. This is the concept of ego states. So this is a primary concept of transaction analysis we are familiar with. There are three states of mind. They are known as ego states. What are the ego states? You are aware. Those are aware, you will tell. I know if it is a live classroom, I would have asked you and got the response from you. What are the things? They are the parent, the child, the adult, and the child. So I would say parent is the first come. Parent and child is something which is formed in childhood. And Eric Burns says all these things are learned or set to our personality before the age of 5. And most of these things are through learning your experiences during the childhood. So the parent as well as the child is formed in the childhood itself. Parent is considered to be a taught concept. A taught concept means it is being taught by our parents or adults in our childhood who have been role models. So we have been told certain things. Do this, don't do this, do like this, do not do like this, go like this, talk like this, walk like this. There are a lot of instructions given to you, controls or appreciations, whatever. That comes from the parent. So the parent part of ego state comes from the taught concept that is rooted in the past. That is somewhere below before 5 years. That's what Eric Burns says. And the child also is the feeling we have in terms of those experiences. So child is something internal, parent is something external. So the parent ego state comes from external sources like parents, as well as those adults in our childhood who have been influential in our life. And child ego state develops out of the experiences we had and the feeling we have about those experiences. The child ego state develops like that. It is rooted in the past again. Now, adult ego state is generally considered to be the mediating in between parent and child, which is learned concept, which is evolved through our learning process, your life process, which is rooted in the present, which is more rational, which is looking at how effective we are. So a mature adult is considered to be a mature personality. If you look into those who are aware of Freudian theory, this has some connection with the Freudian theory because this theory emerged from the Freudian concept. What is that? Ego, superego. So it is having some very good connection with the Freudian concept of ego and superego. So here the child is something like the id impulses in the Freudian theory. The parent is something like the superego, and adult is considered to be the ego part of it. So these are the three ego states. This is a foundation concept in transactional analysis. Those who are new to the field, this is something has to go into your mind. So we are not just one person, we are three persons. What are the three persons in us? We have a parent ego state, we have a child ego state in ourselves, and we also have a adult ego state. Let us go a little deeper into these ego states. So now looking at the parent ego state. So the parent ego state is of two types. It's known as the nurturing parent and the controlling parent. So we have two types of parenting ego states, which can be further divided into four, which I'll tell you now. So there are two types, that's nurturing parent and controlling parent. We all have in ourselves a nurturing parent and also a controlling parent. What is a nurturing parent? The nurturing parent can be very supportive, very hand-holding. See the hand holder there? So it's nurturing can be very positive. Just hold your hand and take you forward. Nurturing parent in ourselves can be of very nurturing. So when you're a teacher, when you're an adult person, when you interact within your nurturing adult parenting, nurturing parenting level, then you will be more compassionate, you will be more concerned, you will be more caring. Now, there could be a second part of the controlling parenting. The controlling parenting is something like structuring, which is again positive because we need to have some structure. We need to have some structure for our life, how we do things, how we plan things, how we interact with people. There should be some structure. So these two things are, though it is controlling, but some structuring is good for us. Though it is nurturing, some sort of a hand-holding is important for us. That is the first two types of parenting ego states. Now there are third thing, the negative part of nurturing can be spoiling. That is overprotectiveness, over involvement, too much care. It can spoil. Relationships can be very good at some point of time. When it goes further, it goes more, it can be a problem. So some of the parenting can be spoiling. When you're a parent with a parenting ego state which is of spoiling in nature, you tend to spoil the child because you are very laissez-faire. You are not controlling. You have no system. You are just love. That is not enough. Another type of part of your parenting is a critical parenting, which is again negative because too much of criticism. Do this, don't do this, go away. Bad. So all controlling mechanisms. So the controlling can be too much. That is critical parenting. The controlling can be essentially there. That is called the controlling, structuring aspect of the controlling parenting. And there's a nurturing parenting where the nurturing can be very positive, which is hand-holding, which is essential. So a person, you having a parent ego state, which is of the first two types, that's nurturing positive and the structuring positive, they are really good. Their parent ego state are really good. Now let us go to the second part, parent, then is adult. Adult do not have categories. It's a single entity. It's a single entity. It is actually drawing the resources from both parent and child. It is more realistic, logical, which is in the present, which does not look into the past or future. Something which is mature is the adult ego state. Let us come to the third ego state. That's the child ego state. The child ego state also can be of two types. That is known as the adaptive child and the natural child, free child. So every person of us, every one of us have a child ego state, which is of two types. There is adapted child and free child, which further can be divided into four categories. That is, the first thing is the adaptive positive child ego state is called cooperative child. A child who is very cooperative, very accommodative. That is positive. But at the same time, there is in free child a child who is spontaneous, very positive, spontaneous. Child respects very fast. They are very responsive. Whoever has given the chat box, immediately when I ask you to put the chat box, immediately you are very spontaneous. You immediately put the chat in the chat box. You are a free child. You have a free child which is very spontaneous. And when I asked you to mute or when I asked you to don't post things, you are very cooperative, very good. So your child ego state is good enough. But there are two parts of child egos which can be troublesome. What is that? A child who is highly adaptive, very compliant can be a problem. Oh, for everything, whatever others say, they will do it. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to control their emotions. They have difficulty. They are very compliant. Too obedient is also not good. There should be some question. There should be cooperation, but too much obedience is also not good. So adaptive child can be troublesome at some point of time. And a free child also can be troublesome where it can be very immature. For example, when you go to webinars, you see people who post comments, where is the feedback, how long it is, we have been waiting for the feedback, please give the feedback link, all those things. Every day you see that. That is they are actually immature. They abuse the chat box. They are actually immature. Their child is free, but they are immature. So that is the ego state. This is the overall structure. So we have a PAC structure. Someone told in the chat box earlier. PAC means parent, adult, and child. The adult is in between, middle way, and the parent is another one side, and the child is another side. So there will be always a possibility that parent ego states and the child ego states in our personality can conflict. In that context, adult will mediate. In the ego we heard about. So basically, this is the overall structure. I know this. Am I going too fast? Any comments on that? Or too slow? Is my pace all right?
It is very fine, very fine.
Okay, Cecily teacher, okay. Any participant, if you feel that I'm too fast, I have a tendency to go fast. So please make sure that I am in my right pace. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Many of you have put the comment. Yes, good. Now look at these sentences below. Just an activity for you. Just this is the first statement is this. It is not my fault. My drink got spilt on your new carpet. Who is this person? Can somebody tell in the chat box? The first question. It is not my fault. My drink got spilled on your new carpet. Which is the ego state here? Can somebody tell? Which is the ego state here? It is the, yeah, I'm waiting. Yes, child. Most of you are telling child. Yes, it is a child because child take excuses. Child ego state take excuses. Now, I wonder what might have caused that accident. What is that? I wonder what might have caused the accident. What is that? Yes, adult. Yes, definitely it is adult because it's more of a mature question, which is looking at the possibilities, which is looking at a critical element of the incident. So that is true. So it is the adult. Then, for goodness sake, clean up that mess. Definitely it is. Definitely it is. It is the, yes. Most of you are telling parent. Yes, very good. It is a parent. Now look at, shall we clean up the mess together with a wet cloth? What is this? Shall we clean up this mess together with a wet cloth? What is ego state? Definitely it is going to be, it's going to be adult again. Yes. So adult again, a very nurturing parent. Okay. Now again, I refuse to get involved in this incident. Child. Okay. So this is just an example to reflect what we done till now. Let us go to the next concept that is known as transaction. Before that, a balanced personality balance these ego states. Doesn't mean that we should always have an adult ego state all the time. We should not have all the time a parent ego state. Need not be all the time a child ego state. There should be a balanced ego state so that we are balanced. So to in order to be a balanced personality, we have to understand our own PAC framework, our own parent adult child interaction framework. And where do we stand? Am I a more of a nurturing parent? Am I more of a spoiling parent? Am I more of a controlling and critical parent? You look at what type of child I am. Am I a very careless child? Am I a responsible child? Look at that. So basically look at ourselves, our own behavior. We are able to understand this very well. That's why this transactional analysis is a very popular therapeutic approach. I won't say therapeutic approach, a personality development tools which is being used by people. I know several people who use this in several organizations like life insurance corporations, banks, such places where when they do training, they use transactional as a very important tool for that. Now, Eric Byrne says transactions are the fundamental unit of social intercourse. Social interactions happen through these transactions. We are on a transaction every day. The way we speak, the way we show a non-verbal communication, the way we interact with people, the way we respond to situation, everything is transactions. So transactions are the fundamental unit of social interactions. What keep people closer to us or what makes people away from us are determined by the transactions. It could be the transactions. So let us see what are transactions. So the human communication is actually interplay of ego states. Which ego state you are in? Am I talking from a adult ego state? Am I talking from a parent ego state? Or which type of parent ego state? Which child ego state I'm speaking? That all determines what type of communication you make. Your communication depends on the ego state from through which you interact. Then that if that interaction is healthy and blended, it will lead to healthy communication. So if you develop our ego states perfect, connected the ego states, and if you communicate to people based on a perfect ego state system, when it's healthy and blended, it leads to healthy communication, which will have positive outcomes. Good friends, lot of interactions. For example, a salesperson. When a salesperson is able to talk from the right ego state to the consumer, then they are able to sell more. So that's very important. So that is very important. That's what they in sales they learn, marketing they learn transaction analysis because they need to understand their clients. Now, so we are when we interact with a human being, the transaction is one, the person in the left side, PAC to the person on the right side. That is another person with the parent, adult, and so don't forget that it is not just us. We have this parent and adult and child ego states. The other person who comes to you also have a parent, adult, and child ego state. So we are actually this interaction or transaction is between these two persons having these ego states. So always make sure that we put our transaction right. Now there are different types of transaction. The most important type of transaction is called complementary transaction. Let us take an example. So a teacher tells you, you are 30 minutes late. I want an explanation. You are 30 minutes late. I want an explanation. So what is a student? What will the student will say? That is from the parent level of a teacher. Teacher takes a parental level interaction because teachers always take that parental level. They are controlling people. No, we are, including me. So what is that? The parental position is taken by teacher, and teacher tries to keep you in the child position. Means somebody who is obedient. The student. The student says. Now the student says, "I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, teacher. I slept through the alarm. It won't happen again. I promise." A very polite way of communicating. So what is that? The teacher communicates from the parent ego state to the child ego state of a child, and the student took the same position. Student took the child ego state and talked to the parent of the teacher so that the parent is not hurt. There is no argument. Very polite way of responding. So what happened? This is known as a complementary transaction. Means if a person's communication starts from a particular ego state to a particular ego state to other person, if the other person responds from the same ego state to the ego state from which the communication started. This is not complementary transaction. So a complementary transaction because the student accepts the child ego state assigned to him. Teacher has assigned this role to him by the teacher and respond from the child ego state. That is giving a positive outcome. This is not complementary transaction. So successful transactions are mostly complementary in nature. It doesn't mean that we should be obedient and things like that. But we need to understand that we can further communicate. For example, after this, you can tell, yesterday I had a long hours. You only gave us an additional assignment to do. So yesterday 2 o'clock I finished. If you told that in the beginning, teacher would have got offended. Then the communication would have been blocked. Now, after you tell this, if you tell the second point, it will work. So that is the basic philosophy you have to keep in mind. To someone who speaks to you from a particular ego state, we have to respond to the ego state assigned to you so that you respond. Then you are opening up a opportunity for communicating further. So complementary transactions can continue for hours to days. If you are continuously having complementary transactions, that's what lovers communicate for a long time. You all are students, many of you are students here. So why do lovers communicate very often? Lovers communicate for hours. Your telephone or WhatsApp or whatever communicate for hours because you always have this complementarity in the communication. That's why it's happening. But that doesn't happen in authorities with the people of strange people and other people. So that is the first type of transaction. The second type of transaction is known as a crossed transaction, which is a bit troublesome. Now let us take the same example. Teacher told the student, you are late, I want an explanation. So now from where teacher is speaking? Teacher is speaking from the parent to child. We already saw it. Now the student is telling, oh, didn't you get held up by that crash on the motorways as well? This is a Western example, but what is that? Don't you get stuck in traffic? Don't you get stuck in traffic? The student asking teacher, don't you get stuck in traffic? I am little late, but I was stuck in traffic. So the child is trying to defend. So what happened? The transaction is from the adult level of the child to adult level. Oh, the student is looking at it from its adult level. But what happened? Now the transactions are closed. Do you think the teacher will take it positively? Do you think the teacher will take it positively? Can anyone tell? Not really, isn't it? The chat box, can you say? Do you think the teacher takes it positively when you say that like this? None of us teachers will take it positively because we want to position ourselves. We want to take our adult position or parent position. So we don't like it. So what is this? This is known as a crossed transaction. Cross transaction because the parent ego state attempted to address the child ego state in the student, but student refuses to respond from that ego state. He did not want to take the child ego state. What happened? The student took a adult ego state instead of the child ego state. Then respond to the different level of it's a rationalization. So that goes to the adult ego state. That was crossed. So cross transaction blocks communication. Cross transaction affects our performance indicators. Now look at angular transactions. What are angular transactions? So this is an example of a salesperson. A salesperson says that is the latest iPod and there is 50% off in the moment. So salesperson is trying to sell the product. So from where? So it appears that the communication from the adult level of the salesperson to adult level of the customer. But actually the salesperson is talking to the child. It's inspiring, motivating the child to get inspired by the discount, motivated by the discount. So the child ego state comes in there. The child ego state. So the angular transaction is, though it appears to be from one ego state to other ego state, but it's actually from one ego to another ego state. This makes a person to sell the product better. So what happened? Now the customer will say, yes, I will take one. So from the child of the customer is evoked, and the child will respond to the adult, say that, okay, let's take one. So we take that. So this is not an angular transaction because the salesperson is taking, I told you already, one direction, and the adult, it is inherently meant to be communicated to the child ego state of the customer, and customer respond from other ego state, the child ego state, because Customer did not understand from the adult level, it took it from the child ego. This is very often happening in sales business. So that is known as angular transaction. There is something called ulterior transaction. That means we mean something when you say, but we want to, for the same example, where the salesperson is telling you. Now the salesperson tells you that it is very expensive. So it is a communication from adult to adult. But actual communication is from the parent to the child. What does it say? You can't afford it. So what happens if it is response from the adult level of the customer? Then customer will say, let us look at something which is more less expensive, less costly, so that I will buy it. Or if it is hurting the child ego state of the customer, how can he tell me that I am not able to afford these things? I can definitely afford this. So what I will do, take 2 of these things instead of 1. I'll ask for 2. Now the salesperson wins on or in there. So basically, ulterior transactions are inherent meanings in any communication. Sometimes it can, when the other person takes it from a very adult level, it will be all right. But when there is a communication back from the other person, from a child ego state, a hurt feeling, it can cause trouble. So basically, complementary transactions are the best. Now let us talk to, are you all with me? How many of you are with me? I think there are dropouts in the audience, no problem. How many of you are with me? Can you say yes or no? Please, I'm going to next topic. That's what I want response from you. Yes or no? Someone is raising hand, so raise hand is also okay. You can say tell in the chat box also fine. Yes or no? Chat box, I don't know. Chat box is not responding or you're not there. Say, see some yes. Yeah, I saw 2 participants raising hand. Are we okay to go? Continue?
There are a number of.
I am not able to see the chat here.
All are responding.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much. So we will go ahead with the third concept. Very important. I am seeing a lot of hands coming up. 15, 17. Now, very good. Excellent. Now we go to the next concept that is known as strokes. Okay. The first concept was, what is the first concept? The first concept was about ego states. Then we talked about how we apply ego states in our transactions. Now we talk about strokes. Strokes, according to Eric Berne, strokes are the fundamental unit of social action. They are known as a fundamental unit of social action. What all action we take in society has a stroke component. What is stroke? It is not the disease stroke. Strokes are positive responses we get or positive or negative responses we get. So human beings are social animals. So what makes us social animals? We have a hunger for strokes. Strokes are concern shown to us. It could be positive concern or negative concern or attention given to us. Strokes are that. So Eric Berne says in his theory, when a child is born and a child is made to lie down close to the mother's body, the heat emanating from the mother's body gives a stroke to the child. Yes, you have been cared, you have been taken care of, you are safe, you are secure. In some cultures, as soon as a child is born, the child is made to lie on without even cleaning the child. The child will be made to lie on the naked body of the mother to feel that emotional bonding, that bonding with the mother and child. So that there starts the first stroke. Our first stroke start at that point of time, that every one of us are hungry for strokes. Hungry, we are hunger. What are the difference hunger? We are hungry for stimulus. We want to respond to people, but there should be some stimulus to respond. So I want to respond to you. How do I respond? When I get a stimulus from you. When I, as a teacher, I need to stimulate you. A student expects that you need to have some stimulus for them to respond. That's what in my classes, I call my students names, because I want to ensure that they get stimulus to respond. So we all of us want stimulus. Some of you might feel unattended in a classroom context or interaction because we don't get any stimulus. Nobody attend to you. So we are hungry towards stimulus. So give stimulus. Second, we are hungry for recognition. We need to say that I'm good, I'm doing good. When we reach, especially in our ages, like the middle ages, you start thinking, am I doing good? Did I do anything good for the society? Did I do anything good for myself? Did I do it well? So recognition hunger is for everyone, irrespective of whichever position they are, whichever highest position they are in. They want recognition. You know, many of you as students might have enjoyed taking benefit of some teachers by praising them because they like to be praised, including me. There are, might have been several students who would have enjoyed making use of me by praising me. Sir, your class was so excellent, sir. You talk very nicely, sir. That's my feeling. So when this recognition comes, no, we have this hunger. We want to get it. So what happened? Structure hunger. We need to structure ourselves. There be some order in our life, some order, how to go about things. There is structure hunger. There should be excitement hunger. So what happened, for example, when you come to this class, this session, if there is no structure, beautifully planned by Pilatra College, St. Joseph College, they have had a very clear introduction by Cicely Madam in the beginning. Then we had Father Arish coming in. Then we had the welcome speech. Then we had a very beautiful session by the principal Muralidharan sir. Then we came into this session. So there was a structure. If there was no structure, what happened? You feel many of you would have left by then. So now many of you continue the session because you like the structure. Now excitement hunger is that we want excitement. We don't want to be unhappy. We want to be excited. So that is again there in our hunger. So basically, human beings are social animals. We need this thing. So most of us suffer from stroke hunger. So what happened? We tend to receive stroke. That's what behavior theory says. When a child is not given positive strokes, they'll seek negative strokes. When they don't get attention for good things, they do negative things so that they get attention. So that become a habit, that become a behavior. That is one of the things. So there are 5 ways people can structure their time to get strokes. We do different ways. For example, when you go to a party, there are when you go meet somebody who's not a stranger, you go to a party and you are there spending time with people. What do you do first? The simple thing is called ritual. You ask them, hi, you go and so you are also a stranger. You don't have many friends in the party. You have no familiar people in the community, the group. Then you go and talk to someone. Yes, hi, how are you? Fine. But then you say, fine, thanks. Well, see you around. How? Take care. Do well. So it's a cliche languages. This is called rituals. But when we do this to people, we're in a way giving attention to them. We are seeking stimulus from them. We are seeking appreciation from them. So good, nice to speak to you today. They'll respond to you like this. So rituals are part of one way of seeking strokes. The second type of is called pastime. Pastime is what? You go to a strange place again, you want to start a conversation. You want to get into a conversation with someone. For example, now wherever you go, what is the government topic you discuss? Yeah, yesterday it was 4,678. Oh, what to do? I don't know where this is going. Lot of places are becoming thing. Yo, Trivandrum, every day it's increasing. Ernakulam crossed 500 yesterday. So you talk this way. So you talk about something of very interest. Now IPL is going to start. Oh, it would have been really nice if we had some other game in our country. But because of this COVID, we are not able to have it. The IPL is going to start. We talk about something interesting. So there are something called pastimes. So we engage in this type of conversation with people. So otherwise, what will happen? You go to a party, you are a strange person, you don't have no familiar persons, you become so lonely, so aloof. So you get into this type of stroke so that you need to get some attention. You start conversing with people. So basically, pastimes are part of our life. We do that very often. We need to do that. Okay, now games are the other thing which you do to get attention. For example, I say, today I have toiled my heart to prepare myself to prepare well for this session. To give the best in the session. I have prepared so nice PowerPoint for you. You know, it's going to be very interesting. I played some game in the beginning. I told you, if this is, you want to improve yourself, this is the approach you would learn. That I want to make some interest in you. So I played a game. Or sometimes you say, teachers will say, I know it's very difficult to pass you, but I tried my level best to pass you. Teachers will say this to you. I have told many students this because I played a game. Because I want to get appreciation. Oh, they'll say, oh, sorry, so nice. He took a lot of effort to pass me from the exams. So games we all play every day. They are intended to get strokes. They are for getting positive strokes. We do that. So games are usually known as failed method of getting strokes. When we don't get in this thing, we do that. So it is crooked or covert exchange of strokes. We want to not directly but indirectly want to get strokes. So most often people play games are not conscious of what they are doing, but many times people are. Sometimes they are aware that they are playing a game to get the appreciation, get that. Now they think that one down parenting. Parents say they talk stories about the other parent. Again, that's a gameplay so that they get attention from to their side. So games are other way of playing in the. This is the best way of getting a stroke. That is intimacy, having direct, powerful external strokes, very post relationships, very post interaction, which is not very common because you don't think that you get attention all the time. You get attention from people all the time. So basically, there is a direct, powerful external stroke that is intimacy. And work, when you do good work, you get appreciated. So some people are very workaholics because they want to get strokes. Some people do everything very perfect because they want to get the result of that is a stroke. But sometimes we can be very sad about that because we not get that. So these are the ways people try to get strokes, but strokes are important for us to go ahead in our lives. So basically that is important. Now let us look at the screen and tell me how many squares are there on the screen. Please tell. In the chat box you can write how many squares are there in the, yes, can you say how many squares are there in the screen? 16, 16, 16. Srigala says, Anju says 16. Akhil Papajan says 16. Nehapriya says 16. 22. Sanika says 22. Now this is a auction. So now I don't take anything less than 22. Somebody said 26. Who is that? Alicia? Oh, 26. 26. Oh, someone said 30. Someone might have attended my class earlier or someone. Anusri says 28. 30. Someone said 30. Who is that 30% chat? Can you comment once again? I missed your name because name was passing so fast. 30, 30. Who said 30? Who said 30? Just write once again. Aditya. Aditya said 30. Aditya attended my session earlier. I don't know. Aditya sir. So there are 30 squares here. Just to, there Deepthi says 32. Deepthi, 32. Okay. Can Deepthi show 32 here? So now let us see, there are, as of my understanding, there are 30 squares. Just to see attention, how many of you are with me? Just to, for that, there's nothing else, nothing else. This was just an exercise to get your attention. I see 30 squares here. But what happened when you looked first, you saw only 16. That is obvious. What is obvious is just 16. Because 4 into 4 is 16. That is a common sense understanding. But for every human problem, this is a situation. When you look at first in a human problem, you see that there's only one solution. I don't want to show it. So they see here, this 4 into 4, 16, common, 17 is the whole square. Then this two squares, that is 18, 19, 20, 21. This is 22. This is 23. This is 24. This is 25. This is 26. Now 3 square, 27, 28, 29, and 30. This is the 30 square. So when you look at the squares first, you saw only one solution. So every human problem, this is like that. When you look at a problem, you see only one solution or few solutions. But when you really look into the problem critically into that, you will be able to find out more and more solutions. That's just an exercise to keep you awake, keep you active here in the session. Nothing to do with the transaction analysis. Let us go to the next concept, that is life positions. What are life positions? Life positions are certain positions we take in life. So there are two thoughts. One thought is that I am okay thought. Some people think that I am okay. Some people think that I am not okay. I am okay, I'm not okay. Okay. Some people think that you are okay. You're all nice people. You're all nice people. And or at least you think that I am not, I am. Some people think that you are not okay. You are not good. I am good. Okay. Now the three type of thoughts. The first thought is that you look into the first quadrant. What is the thing in the persons have a thinking that I am okay, you are not okay. So I am good, but you are not that good. So superior thinking. So that is known as one-up position. So we take positions in life, which is known as one-up position. I am okay, but you are not good. So all our transaction will be colored with that one-up position. How will the person show? They'll be more superior. They'll be showing superiority. They take one-up position. Now, second group is person is called you are not okay. I am also not okay. Some people do not believe in themselves. They don't believe in others also. They are known as hopeless people because all their communicate hopeless because they don't believe in good in them. They don't believe good in others. They don't find good hope in themselves. They don't find good hope in others. So what will happen? Their all interaction will be very negative. They'll be hopeless people. They are very difficult to people to be with. So that is life position. They take a life position like that. Now, third life position is I am not okay, but you are all okay. I'm not good, but you are all okay. That is the third position. That's called one down position. So one down position is actually inferiority, where you feel low self-esteem, you feel jealous about others, you feel like gossiping about others. So you have a one down position. And the last position is the best position, that is healthy position. What is that? I am okay, you are also okay. So I see good in you, I see good in myself. I find positive in the future, I also find positive in the future. So that is the positive thing. So healthy life position. So Eric Berne says human beings take these life positions based on injunctions from their parents, from their child parenting, from their childhood experiences. So they have these injections, they have certain barriers, they have been fed to their mind, fed to their thought process. These are known as the life positions. So people take life positions. So now transactional analysis is rich with a lot of concepts. The first concept was ego state. Then we talked about transactions. Then we talked about strokes. Now we are talking about life force, fourth concept. Okay. So these are the major concepts in transaction analysis. So a one up position, one down position, a get on with happy. That's people with I am okay, you are okay people. Okay. Now, the last concept before I go into therapy of transaction analysis is called life script. So from all these things, from all the things we heard till now, what are the things we heard till now? Can somebody unmute and tell? What are things? Can somebody unmute and tell? From the organizers also who have the power to unmute themselves, please. So that I listen to some voices, so that I don't feel that I'm alone. Father Arish,
Ego
anyone?
states.
Ego states.
Yes, ego states.
Yes, ego states.
Transactional analysis.
Transactions. Yeah. Strokes and life positions. So all these things, the ego states you possess, adult, child, parent, whatever it is, the type of adult or type of parent or type of child. Then the transactions you type, the type of transaction we commonly make, the complementary transactions or type of transactions. Then we look at transactions. From there, you look at the life positions you make or strokes. What are things you do to get strokes? Are we happy with the strokes we get? That again determines. And the life positions. All these things form the life script of a person. So it is a pre-decided script we hold as a human being. So that is formed in our early life. So that will act very well in our personal lives. So now let us look at how we go forward. Okay, how do we go forward? So way forward is how to look at how we're going to use the theory of transaction analysis. Let us see how the vehicles are, as the vehicles are going. Let us see how it is going to go. Now, the therapeutic process, how are we going to use TA in counseling? That is the major theme which I want to conclude with. So I will take another 10 minutes to conclude, then we'll have question and answer. Okay, so therapeutic process. What are the therapeutic process involved in TA? Let us look at that. So the first thing is, let me close the video part here. The first thing is we need to understand the script. So life script is the conglomeration of all the things we have about our life, about our ego states, our strokes, our life positions, our transactions. It involves all of them. So identify the self-defeating. If it is therapeutic purpose, otherwise we have to understand that what is blocking us in our relationships, in our communications. That's what I told you. If you want to improve communication, if you want to improve relationships, we can definitely look at transactional analysis as an important thing. Now understand the self-defeating life script. We need to rewrite it. Sometimes the life script might have been written in a wrong way. We need to rewrite it. How to rewrite? So we need to learn to how to move freely from not stuck in one ego state. We need to freely move from one ego state to other. How can we improve our transactions? How develop autonomy lifestyle in our lifestyle? Means I have freedom to choose what I am. So the freedom of choice and freedom of change at will happen. So therapeutic goal is to create a person who has freedom of choice and freedom to change at will. Who has a freedom of choice means for good. Whatever I feel, okay, I need to do good. So that freedom of choice comes from there. That is the freedom of choice and freedom of change at will. Now, how to use it? The first and foremost thing that we become aware of our own ego state. Then you, as many of your social work students, you will be applying this in theory. Counseling students are also there. So you will need to understand what is the ego state functioning of the client, so that we are able to understand. Try and stay in the adult state. Adult state is a mature state, so try to maintain adult state when there is a problem. Be aware of any games being played. So we are playing games. We all play games every day. Games are not the games basketball, football, or hockey, but it's the game we play in our lives to get stocks. The activity you do together. There are n list of games. If you go and Google out, you'll find out now several games. There are marital games, there are sexual games, there are games which are played by people every day in their lives. So we people work in organizations, they do play game. Teachers play games, parents play game. All the sympathy games are all there in the games. So games, understand those games, whether am I a game person or am I realistic some point of time? Game persons are people who want to get transactions. They do transaction to get stock all the time. They are the games. So understand that. Then if the game is being played, find a fresh approach that seeks to engage in adult the client. That is very important. Now there are few processes approaches in therapeutic approaches. Transactional is something which is taught for years. Now, if you want to become a certified transactionalist, you can actually learn from there are organizations which offer this type of approaches. You will be become a certified transactionalist, which is actually very long-term training. So you can do that. But these are the components there. What is that? Structural analysis, transaction analysis, script analysis. We'll take one by one. So what is structural analysis? First, we have to understand the content and functioning of the ego states. What is the content? Am I having a more prominent adult ego state or a critical parent ego state? Or am I having a very lenient parent ego state? Am I having a child which is careless child? I should understand that. That's the first thing. Then ego state determining behavior of the person. So ego state determines our behaviors. So whichever ego state we are in, that determines our behavior. So structural analysis helps us to understand our personality, what type of a person I am. Then we will have two problems. What are two problems? One is that there's a contamination of adult ego state by childhood. When we have too much of parent ego state of one type, or the problematic parent ego state or child ego state, which can contaminate our adults, so our adult ego state is not functioning well. It can happen. Second thing is that there could be exclusion of ego state by one ego state. For example, a person who has a very prominent parent ego state only, they don't come to the adult or to the child ego state at all. That is a problem. So the first process in a therapeutic process is that to understand the structure of the ego state functioning, whether it is contaminated by other ego states or it is been excluded, that one ego state dominates the person's functioning. Then we have to understand that we have to have balancing of all these three things. It doesn't mean that we should always have adult ego state. We need to balance between these three things. So how do we do that? So understand the structural analysis that. Second thing is functional analysis, exclusively what we learned. So function of the ego state, understand transactions. Am I getting into cross transaction all the time? Do I get into conflicts all the time? Why do I get into conflicts all the time? Or whenever I talk to my authorities, I get into conflict. Why is that? When I talk to my friends, they get into fight with me. Why do I do that? Because my transactions are becoming crossed, or my transactions are more angular, or my transactions are ulterior. So should I make more a complementary transaction? How do I do that? I told you this example. If you had told a teacher that in the beginning itself that, yes, I agree, I take my child position, then you can explain yourself. But some people, what do they do? They start in the beginning. They start with the defensive position in the beginning. Then they will end up in a conflicting relationship. So understanding transaction is very important. Then analyze your games. What are the ulterior transaction I make through games? Then analyze your script. What are the injunctions? Injunctions, sorry, it's a spelling mistake. Injunctions are basically something which is embedded onto your mind by the parents, by people in your childhood, that I am like this, you should not be doing like this, you do like this, this is bad, this is good, don't trust people. A lot of communications are embedded to your brain by the child during the child stage, that is the early period of life, before 5 years. Now understand errors in transactions. Then you understand the script, understand the life pattern followed, life position, the games. So we understand how the script is developed. So the script is developed from the pattern followed in the transactions, life positions they take, and the games they play. So the life script need to be modified. Analyze the script according to that. What are the things which is helping the process of developing of the script? So the script can be modified. So there are several activities. One of the example is called family modeling and role playing. So it has a lot of approaches taken from the Gestalt theory also, where there's a Gestalt looks at developing awareness. So transaction analysis also uses a lot of awareness building process in the process of therapy. That is, family modeling is where you build up a family context in the therapeutic context, and you try to make the client to speak on behalf of all of them. They become the actor, director, producer, etc. Means the client is in front of you. The client will act I like the parent, as the father, as the mother, as the brother or sister. Then they'll talk in terms of that. So the transaction analyst will get an idea about a family functioning, how the scripts have been formed. So that script can be modified. That's the way it is done. Lot of role modeling is done in this process. So that is the thing. Now we have come to the end of the session. So I have a small activity for you. I think you have been peacefully listening to me. Now let me come back to a small activity. I'll share one more thing in the chat box. Please click. It's a small activity for you. Just five questions. Just answer that. There's nothing to worry about results, but few review of what we learned today. Okay. So just click on the link. Can you all see the link? Yes. You can click on the link. So there are 6 or 7 questions. Very simple questions about this, just to understand how did I do in terms of my dissemination of information. I wanted to play it. This is actually a game which we could play directly, but because many of you may not have 2 devices at the time I'm doing this exercise, but you can actually go into and play. I can now see that how many of you are playing. 1 second. There are 200 people there. There's a large audience. I'm really happy to have this type of large audience. There are 65 players I can see. You are playing. 65 people are playing. Very good. Very good. So once you're done, please write that in the chat box. Yes, so that I'll know how many of you completed. Once you're done. So we'll take 2-3 minutes for that. Once you're done, please let me know so that we will continue further. I can declare the results also. It's a very 81 people are playing. Out of 230 people, 81 people are playing. That's a good number, but still I want more of you to play. Just click on the link and you can play. Just a small game. It's a game, interesting, with music. 93 players, very good. 93 players. Others also try to click the link. Please let me have 100 toss. A century made. A century made is nice. So please. Yes, across the century, 105. Great. So please put yes in the chat box once you finish. Okay. I'm seeing familiar faces here. Nitya, I'm seeing you on camera. Finish. Aditya, sir, finished. Someone asked for, please put the link once again. I'll just put it once again. Oh, is it that? Yes. I'm putting that once again. Setu, I put it once again. There are many of you finished. Done. Anju finished. Setu finished. Finished. Teresa. Yes. Okay, Safna, yes. Manikantan, finished. Rajiv, yes, finished. Good. So I'm waiting for many of you to finish so that we will have the final results. I'll show you only the first 3 winners. I will not show the other results. Don't worry. Okay. Sneha Priya finished. Deepthi finished. Binsi finished. Mekha finished. Good. Anjali finished. Done. Good. Oh, 141 players. Great. $84 people are yet to finish. I'm waiting for many of you to finish so that for those who finish, you can do this also if you're interested. No compulsion. Those who finish, I put one more link. If you're interested, you can do that. Otherwise, just take rest. After listen to me for a long time, you can take some rest. If you're interested, you can click on the link and play this game also. I put that once again. Well, I don't know whether that link works because link is not coming as link. Then you may have to copy and paste. Yes. So I am finding Christina done it. Grishma, yes. Nihala, yes. Minu, yes. Amal, yes. Good. So shall I end the game? We will take 1 more minute to close. So we're just 1 minute, sharp 1 minute, 60 seconds time for to close before we, so those are finished. Most of you finish. 1 minute. Few seconds more to finish the game. Yes. Great participation of 153 participants in the game. I really enjoy that. Happy about that. Now 15 seconds more. 15 seconds more. I will 70 people are to finish. 70 people are still continuing, or you left and went. I don't know. Some of you started and just left and went. That's fine. So I am stopping the clock. Let me see the clock. Another 10 seconds. I'm ending the game now. End now. 5 seconds. I'm ending now. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Yes. Now let us see. I'm going to share my screen and see who is the winner of the game. Let me come back to Zoom and share my screen. So be ready to see the winners of the game. So I hope that you can see my page where I'm just showing the podium. Who is on top? So the third position goes to Adit Christ. Adit Christ, 6,692 points. Anjali is second. And the first position goes to Alex Correa. Okay, congratulations. Those who are able to clap, please clap. Alex is a winner. Aditi is third position. Anjali is second. Congratulations. Congrats to the winners. So congrats to Aditi, congrats to Alex, and to Anjali, Adit. So good. Thank you.
Anjali?
Now it's time for question and answer.
Alex.
Now it's time for question and answer. Thank you. I'm finished. I'm done. Thank you for your wonderful participation. Hope you enjoyed the session. Hope you had learn something. Okay.
Really, we thank you, sir. It is not to give you a positive stroke or any stroke that you enjoy, but it is to tell you very frankly, though it was a webinar, we had a live class. We really appreciate for that. And how you said, this is time for all of us, all the participants, that you can unmute your mic and ask questions, and kindly make it brief. Alternatively, you can post your questions in the chat box too.
I'm getting a lot of strokes, positive strokes. Very nice. Thank you. I just played a game now to get some strokes. Okay. I'm waiting for the strokes to receive. Thank you. Now over to questions, please. Comments also, not just questions. You can see comments also.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Parayyu, sir. Aditya, sir.
Sir, ആദിത്യാണ്. സാർ തുടക്കത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു ഇത് കൗൺസിലിംഗിൽ മാത്രമല്ല മറ്റ് പല മേഖലകളിലും ഇത് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ട്രെയിനിങ്ങിലാണെങ്കിലും മാനേജ്മെന്റ് മേഖലകളിലാണെങ്കിലും. ഡേ ടു ഡേ ലൈഫിൽ ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു യൂസിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഒന്ന് എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാമോ, ഒരു ക്ലാരിറ്റി വരുത്താനായിട്ട്?
See, this is really good, because if you look at transaction analysis, it is not just practiced by people who are professionals in counseling or psychotherapy, or especially it's not a very popular practice among psychologists, social workers, or people who are engaged in counseling. It's more of a practice in lot of fields because of the simplicity of the theory. This theory is a very simple theory. Because of the simplicity of theory, this has been widely practiced across management disciplines. In OB, organizational behavior, this has been used for improving communication and relationships. So basically, I would say in our life, it's a very important therapy to look at our own reflection on ourselves. I look at our own conflict situation. For example, you get into a conflict with someone. Now we are on conflict or regular conflict with someone. Let's evaluate the communication we make with the other person from a ego state perspective. So look at from which ego state am I communicating to this person? Did I respond to this person from this ego state, or did I respond from other ego state? Do you have a particular ego state that is prominent? Are my transactions colored by those certain type of, for example, I have a critical parent. Am I using a critical parent all the time? So people may not like you. People call you bossy. You know, sometimes what happens, no, you are a bossy person because now you take a critical parent position all the time because that you are bossy, because you don't like to go to another level. So you don't speak to people like that. You speak to them all the way as a controlling. So that is one thing which you can analyze our own transactions. So look at our own transactions. So when you fail in transactions, for example, when you get into conflict, when you're not able to make good friends, when you're not able to communicate effectively within a context, try to look at ourselves from the that framework of transactions, as well as from the what is that, the ego states. Now second thing is the life position, which has a lot of impact on our lives. For example, the position you take. If I take a position, I am okay, you are not okay. That is a position, one up position. When I take a one up position, what happens? I interact with you as a superior. All the time my interactions will be colored by superior nature, which none of us like. If you just look at people whom you like, are they superior looking persons? They always speak to you as superiors. Now, when I come to this class, I tell you, transaction is something which is very sacred, which I know, you all do not know. If I take a position like that, then you don't like my session. Many of you would have left in the beginning itself. Now the question is, how do we look at ourselves? So if I take a position, I am okay, you are not okay, it is problem. So I take superior position. Now take an example of I am not okay, you are okay. I am not okay. Then what will happen? You take a one down position. One down position is a problematic position because we feel inferior. We feel low self-esteem. We feel anxious. We feel difficulty in conversing with people. We feel difficulty in initiating a conversation. We feel lonely. So that's again troublesome. Understand ourselves. Look at ourselves. What are the prominent thought processes within ourselves? It has a cognitive element there. Now the best life position is I am okay, you are okay. So if we have that position, then we are positive. We are very positive with people. We we are able to find good in others. We are able to find good in ourselves. That is helping us. So that's a simpler way. And a hopeless person I'm not talking about. രണ്ടും ഇല്ലാത്ത ആൾക്കാർ തന്നെ കുറിച്ച് അഭിപ്രായമില്ല, നാട്ടുകാരെ കുറിച്ച് അഭിപ്രായത്തിലുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ. They are the worst ever people we can ever interact with. Hopeless people, just keep away from those people. People do that. People do that very well. That's why, because of that, some people do not make any friends at all because they are hopeless. People will lose their own interest in doing things. So that's very important. So I definitely, I always keep that in mind. I make a very good interaction with people who are I am okay, you are okay people. I try to maintain that, but many times the other position, the hopeless position, I definitely am not good at. I don't like people who are negative. Okay, I think I answered to some extent. The whole theory can be applied to ourselves. This is actually a self theory, plus it could be used with others. Now, whoever goes on to transaction analysis long-term training, they analyze themselves first. That's the beginning of the session. So basically, there is an institution in Kalamasheri called ICTA, which is a world-known institution in transaction analysis. So ICTA training, what they do is they're continuously meeting. For example, there are different batches of people. So for example, there is a super trainer. Under that trainer, there will be one group of people. And they meet every second Saturday or Sunday or Monday evenings. They have timing for that. Each group has time for that. So they meet every week or at least in a month time, so that they continuously evaluate themselves. Then only they apply in practice. So there are a lot of people who are from business. For example, I know a person who is a development officer in LIC. He learned that transaction analysis for working with his agents. LIC development officer, they have to work with a lot of agents to mobilize fund. So he started learning transactional for that, and he is a very successful development officer because he is able to make the best output from the agents. So if you want to be successful, this is a very good model to practice in our life. But there is some theoretical underpinnings in terms of life script and all, which is a bit difficult, which cannot be applied from a personal side. But otherwise, it is highly applicable in our life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we have so many comments appreciating your class, and thanks.
Thank you.
From Betty Philip and Miss Cicely James. Kamarunisa AP said it is very fruitful session.
Thank you. Thank you. My game is successful now. I played the game now, so I am waiting for that. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Then otherwise, over to the organizers.
Sir?
Yeah.
So I have a question. So I don't know if it is
As
right
usual,
or
Nitya.
wrong because I'm new to this, so I don't know if it is right or wrong. Just I'm asking if when we are doing counseling to an elderly person, so which stand in this PAC framework, which should we stand?
Okay.
Elderly person.
Oh, that's a very, very tricky question. Nitya would have not asked this question. Anyway, let us look at what is the answer. Now, thing is that whoever it is, for a counselor, if you are taking a position of a counselor, your position is almost always adult. Okay. But when you especially work with elderly population, you have to be careful that you don't take the critical parent position. That is not good for any counselor anyway. That's not good for any counselor. So always keep in mind that the best part of the parent, the best part of the child also can be there, because sometimes the elderly population also want you to be very child position. But ideally speaking, a counselor should take the position of adult position, because that is a mature level which focus on the present. That is very important. So whichever client is, adult position is the best position. But elderly population, as you might have thought that they are seniors or experienced, so whether they will be able to take you to that level. But when you are developing your competent interaction, so when you transact, when you actually transact directly, for example, confrontation is one technique we use in counseling, where we can directly confront someone take a very critical parent. You can tell them that you are taking a critical parent because of this you are having all trouble. But instead of that, you take your child position from the elderly person may talk to you from a parent position to the maybe trying to put you in the child position. Okay, you respond to the child position, but at the same time immediately move on to the adult position. Because if you make a cross transaction, what will happen is it can block the communication. So as a skilled counselor, you can take the position to which he has communicated, but immediately shifted. So don't stay over there. If you stay there, what will happen? That the client will take you for a ride. This can happen in any therapy. This can happen in any therapy. Wherever you are, clients can take you for a ride because they sometimes look at your face and think that, okay, you are too young to look at that. When I started practicing family therapy, I was 23 or 24. So at that point of time, I had a lot of clients asking me this question: are you married? A simple question, but they have a lot of meaning under that. You know, are you capable of helping us in the marital work? That's what a question they ask because they want to get that. So you get the authority because of that your positioning. So adult position is the best position. So move on to adult position, but try not to make cross transactions. So we also need to learn how to make transaction appropriately in a counseling context. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
One more question.
Okay, SK Das.
Yeah.
Can we expect in transaction analysis psychotherapy is helpful during this COVID pandemic situation? Definitely, definitely. Then which model is better between ego state structural model and ego state functional model for transaction analysis? Okay, okay, okay. Right. So the first question, whether that's by SK Das. So the question is that can we expect in transaction analysis psychotherapy is helpful during this COVID pandemic period? Definitely, ask any other therapy because COVID period is accommodated with a lot of mental health issues, lot of emotional needs, lot of problems in life. So basically, if you're dealing with an emotional or day-to-day relationship or communication related issues, transactional is the best. Now, thing is that transactional analysis is found to be very effective in the areas of improving relationships, improving effectiveness in human life, improving efficiency in how to communicate and get things done. So that is a context. That's why it is being used very much in organizational context and in the other context. But in a context of emotional distress, transaction analysis would be useful, but much more useful would be other approaches because you are looking at the emotional distress. But if the emotional distress is because of transactions or because of ego states or life positions, we can definitely help. But I would say in a COVID or a highly emotional distress situation, there are other approaches which are more beneficial because especially cognitive behavior approaches or approaches like humanistic approaches like client-centered approaches, all can be much more beneficial than transaction analysis. But transaction analysis also, because there are people who are just experts in transaction analysis. So they don't do any other approaches. They very judiciously use that in any context. It can be used. That's my understanding. The second question is, okay, these questions came in the YouTube. Which model is better between ego state structural model and ego state functional model for transaction analysis? Okay, see, basically, we look at ego state from both structural level as well as functional level. Ego state structural level means it is a structure under which a person operates. Means the parent ego state, child ego state, and the adult ego state. The structure, what type of structure? Out of the parent ego state, there are 4 styles. What is the structure on which this person is mostly communicating? So that is the structural evaluation process in the ego state function. Now, functionally, how do we use this in our transactions? That's a functional analysis. So I would think that this model goes together. We need to understand the structure, that's called structural analysis. And second part is functional analysis, that is how it is being operationalized, how we actually do that in our context or transactions. So I think there is which is I cannot answer which is the best. Probably I would say it goes together because we need to understand the structure, what is the prominent structure on which the person is in, and also need to understand how he or she is using this approach in their day-to-day life. So that also need to be analyzed. So actually, transaction analysis is not one part of it. It's the mix of utilization of analyzing the structure. That's what I told you in the therapeutic approaches. Structure analysis is one aspect and functional analysis is second aspect. So we go together. This goes together. So that's not one is best, another thing. I don't think that is right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let
madam.
me ask a question.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, see, I know TA is very useful for counseling. And if a family or a person comes for a counseling, what are the easy ways to understand, like, what ego stage they are, or what is their life positions? What are the easy ways to understand it? Because how the problem has come.
Yeah. Very good, very good. See, basically, this is actually a very important aspect of transaction analysis. So basically, assessment has a great role in transaction analysis. So we want to understand a client, which ego state they are in, which life position they are holding. So basically your conversation. So basically I would say that's what it has a very great connection to the psychoanalytical perspective. Psychoanalysis is basically that, where you look at make the client to do something called free association, keep on talking, and from the conversation you pick up the information from the client to understand the client's context. That is the approach we use in psychoanalysis. And transactional analysis also seems to be a long-term therapy. There are a lot of self-exploration exercises, activities we do in the therapy process, which will help us. For example, our conversation is not focusing on, we don't ask them which ego state you are in, but we keep on talking to them about their life experiences, life situations. When you keep on talking to them, we will be able to pick up, because we know the framework immediately in our mind. Okay, this person talks often from a adult level, or often from a parent ego state. So we understand that from. So we analyze from there. Then we actually, what happened is I would say is a collaborative exploration of the client's life. It's not a one-way exploration of by the therapist, but it's a exploration by the therapist and client together. So it's a collaborative discovery. I would say it's collaborative discovery. So it developed insights. So that's what I told you. When transaction analysis is being trained, people go through this process of therapy so that they themselves look into their own transactions. They look into their own ego states. Yeah. That is actually really good for them to develop that. So basically, it is through the assessment procedures we develop these insights. There is no easy way to do that, because there are questionnaires and other things people use. But more than that, it's more of exploration process we do together with the clients. Usually, though nowadays short-term transaction analysts have developed, there are people who talk about transaction analysis in brief therapy approaches. But I have seen many times transaction analysis is a long-term therapy, which requires long time. So it is not that something which happens immediately and finish off. So in that process of exploration, we understand that. So it takes time. I don't know there is a shortcut. It may be my ignorance, but there may be a lot of people who have been. I have not practiced a lot about transactional, so I'm not in a position to tell very clearly about that. But I think this is my understanding about that. Thank you, madam.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, one more question.
Okay. You can think about timing. Okay, it's already 1 o'clock. Okay, next question, please. No, I have no problem.
Question.
Yeah.
So it is there in the chat box.
Okay.
There in the
that
in
which is a
family
question.
life, how it is applied? Sheila Bhavani.
Okay. Very good question. This is the best thing we can apply in family life. You apply every day. You can apply it every day, because family life is full of transactions. You every day, morning to evening, you transact with husband, wives, you transact with the children. So transactions are very much part of our life. So I think communication issues, efficiency in relationships, we talk about quality time with families. So when you talk about quality time, this is one of the very important things. That what are your transactions when you are there? You are spending a lot of quantity of time. So when you spend a lot of quantity time, the quantity time can be problematic, because that's what we have heard about a lot of divorces or family conflicts and increasing domestic violence when we had lockdown, because people started sitting together, because now the transaction is becoming unbearable. Now family life is the best place we can. This is one way where place if husband and wife learn transaction analysis, they can have a very good family life. But don't apply theory on both of them, but learn the theory and understand, and don't try to impose theory on the other partner. That is one of the major trouble we make in family life, that we always try to make others change rather than we change. Let us change so that we change others. So as family life, this is family therapy also, this can be very much used. And this is actually, family life is full of transactions. So this is the best place to apply transaction analysis. I do not say the full theory what we can do, but this is the basic understanding. Okay.
Sir, there is another question from Krishna.
There is a question from Krishna Priya. What are the things we need to keep for a complementary transaction? Okay. One is that being present and being mindful. I would say mindful in a communication is the most important. So when you are there, when we are preoccupied, we don't bother about from where the person has communicated to you. So to use more complementary transactions, First thing is to analyze ourselves, our transactions, and see how many of them are successful. At the end of the day, you can analyze. Today, I have communicated with many people. How many of them where we have been able to continue for a longer period? Any communication which is, so some people know when we talk to some people, you feel like talking to them for long. When you take to some people, you feel like running away from the place because they are out two sentences. You understand this person is very difficult to talk. Then you forget one. So that is that understand ourselves. What is our type of transaction? So look at that, and the end of the day, you can analyze yourself. That saying, looking at that, where I have been successful today in terms of communicating, where I have been able to, whether I have been able to communicate continuously with someone for a long time, where we both enjoyed the session. They felt happy and satisfied at the end of the communication. അപ്പൊ നമ്മളൊരു സംസാരം തുടങ്ങിയിട്ട് അത് അവസാനിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് തോന്നുവാണ് ഇന്ന് ഈ സംസാരം കൊള്ളായിരുന്നു, ഐ ഫീൽ സോ ഹാപ്പി അബൌട്ട് ഇറ്റ്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മനസ്സിലൊരു ഭാരമായിട്ടാണ് പറയുന്നത്. എന്താ മനസ്സിലാക്കേണ്ടത്? ദർ ഈസ് എ പ്രോബ്ലം വിത്ത് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ. But understand that. That's the first thing. Second thing is that being mindful, I told you earlier. That's mindfulness is basically when we are in the present, when we are fully there in the context. Okay? When we are fully there in the context, you will understand the feeling, the emotional, the body language with which that's what the theory says. There is a study by, I forgot the author, study by Mehrabian. Mehrabian study says, the study Mehrabian, I remember, little old study, it says our actual words are understood only 7%. Okay, 7% communication is from the actual words, and how the words are delivered, that is a tone, accent, etc., are 38% of the communication. That is 38 plus 7, 45% of the communication is from the, only 7% is from the verbal, 38% is from the words, the way you put across the communication, and the rest 55 is from the non-verbal, facial expression only. That's what Mehrabian study says. So what is that? It's a bit older study. So what does it mean? So when you are fully available, you are able to observe the other person. From where this person, what type of tone this person is speaking, what is the facial expression this person is having when he spoke to me. So how did we interact with back? How did you respond back to this? That is a way you can understand our own complementarity. So understand success of your communication. That is one indication whether you are able to do complementary communication. If or else also be mindful so that we understand the emotional ego state of the other person, so that we are able to respond appropriately ego state. But what happens is many times we are preoccupied. We are judgmental about other person. What will happen when we are judgmental and preoccupied other person? You will respond only from one ego state because you assume that the other person are responded from the other ego state. Okay. Sorry for a long answer. Thank you. Now, I think people can leave because feedback link is available. You can take your certificate. Christina, you want to ask something or your mic is on? Thank you. Thank you. I think over to you, Cicely Madam, Father.
Thank you, sir. I think we have had enough time of explanation and queries. It went on very nice. And we appreciate for all the answers that that is flown from you. Before closing this, I would like to invite Ms. Cicely to announce. We had conducted a game within the students of our college. Kindly, Ms., please announce the winners of the game. Ms. Cicely, can you hear me?
We'll do in a different time, Arish.
Okay, Father. Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. There is some technical trouble. Father Johnson Simeti, the HOD of the social work, will speak a few words by the way of concluding remarks on this webinar. I welcome you, Father.
Thank you, Arish. Respected Dr. Anish Kayer, respected Dr. K. Simran, the principal, and all other participants. Actually, I need not conclude properly because it's already done by Dr. Anish. The comments, the strokes, so-called strokes that you have received in the comment chat box really resembled resembled what how this session was. Actually, I started this academic year being the head of the Department of Social Work, St. Joseph's College, with attending the Dr. Anish a course on teaching with the technology. Actually, really that course really put me in a basics of this pandemic situation because we were in a chaos, confusion. That's the time I was fortunate to attend a class on Dr. Anish teaching with the technology as a coordinator of CAPS Skill Academy. We have understood that he's a man of jack of all trades, that he has really showed it that he is very competent. He is very smart in very techno savvy. And actually, this not only students, to all the teachers, he has shown that he is an excellent teacher, that he has done such a very beautifully live interaction he had. I was very sure that this session will be very, very excellent, and he has done that. Coming to the department, social work department has been conducting a number of seminars these days to enrich our curriculum, since we have been on constraints during this pandemic time. So we have come up, and I'm sure the whole team of the department and the college has put up all their efforts to do this. So I appreciate all the hard works they have put in, especially students and teachers and all the well-wishers. A real appreciation to Dr. Anish Kayar, who has consented, because it's a second time coming over on a webinar, moderating. Once he was a moderator over here, and second as a resource person over here. He has not only in foreign universities, he also extending his service all over Kerala and all over India, I know. And your presence and presentation as a resource person was really excellent. We appreciate from our heart, bottom of our heart, that you did it. So these are my words, wishes, appreciations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Father. Before closing, there is a link for the feedback. Kindly, please do fill the feedback form. It is now time to go ahead in life and carry over the insights we gathered from this session. Now, it is time for expressing our gratitude. Let me welcome Ms. Devika for the vote of thanks. Over to you, Devika.
Arshita, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
You can be visible too.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks for this webinar on behalf of Department of Social Work, St. Joseph's College, Pilatara. Water drops that flashes at sunlight create the rainbow. The session of Dr. Anish was like a rainbow of knowledge, experience, and a great learning. The session on transactional analysis was highly enriching, informative, and highlighted the need for a deeper analysis of human behavior. Practitioners and budding social workers definitely benefited from this class. With deep gratitude, let me thank Dr. Anish. Sir, you are an inspiration to all of us. Through your deeper knowledge and presentation, you enriched us. Along with whole department and all present here, I extend our sincere gratitude to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. K.C. Muralidharan, the principal of the college, for his introductory speech, support, and encouraging presence in the webinar. Thank you, sir. I am very thankful to our beloved HOD, Father Johnson Simeti, for these valuable words and support. Thank you, dear Father. Our appreciation go to Mr. Adit Christ, the student coordinator for the welcome speech, and Father Aris Stephen for anchoring the session. I also thank all the faculties of the department and in special manner Ms. Cicely Joseph, the faculty coordinator of this webinar, for joining with us and giving us all support and guidance. Thank you, my teacher. I extend our big thanks to the entire participants. Thank you all for making the session a great success and memorable one. I hope you had a great learning experience through the session. Thank you all. I remember all my friends who worked hard in different committees to materialize this webinar a beautiful one. Thank you, dear friends. Once again, thank you all. Thanks in millions.
Thank you,
Thank you
Devika.
for.
Hope this session has appealed to you all and inspired you in a professional way. Thank you all for your participation and cooperation. Wish you a good noon and a day ahead. Thank you all.
Thank you, Father Johnson. Thank you, Father Arish.
Thank you.
Arish. Thank you,
Thank you, Anish,
Cecily
sir.
teacher.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You really did
This is-
wonderfully well.
Thank you, thank you. It was my second appearance to your webinar.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Okay.
Actually,
you,
there was a suggestion. Should have called you for answering since our main annual feature of the seminar. You were a moderator, no? You should have given much more chance, it seems.
No, I have come earlier
that was
also.
the impression you created.
Live session.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, we have been associated for many years now. So, thank you. So I'm sending the PowerPoint now to all of you, so you can actually share if you want to share with participants.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'll take a leave. Thank you very much.
Bye. Yes.
There are many of my students. Thank you, all of you. I have shared with some of my students, so they are all here. Thank you all. Brother sir, bye. Thank you.
We are also very thankful. We are also very thankful for all the students who came and note to the session.